It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to Trading Stocks Made Easy with me, yours truly, Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor. You know, you hear me talk a lot on this podcast about the idea of wealth and your thinking. In fact, I have a saying that I've coined, which is your wealth is actually in your thinking. Now, the idea of wealth building, money management, and also the feelings behind money are also what I deal with in the Wealthy Investor Program. And that's why you hear me talk so much about the psychodynamic aspects of trading. Yes, trading is easy, but the emotions behind it, well, sometimes they're just a little bit more involved. And guess what? In this particular episode, we're going to talk about the inner realities of money with one of my favorite psychotherapists, Janelle Cox. And we're going to start that discussion as soon as we come back from this commercial break.
Want to increase your stock market trading profits? Then you need to start your monthly membership to WITradeschool.com right now. Don't understand how to write covered calls for monthly income? No problem. Simply review Tyrone's latest stock trades in our video library as many times as you need. WITradeschool.com is all about helping you get the financial education you need to earn money in the stock market and change your financial life. Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor, has helped his students earn thousands of dollars per month trading stocks online from home. These are people just like you. So what are you waiting for? Follow Tyrone Jackson's red-hot stock trades and investment strategies today. Don't wait. Start your monthly membership at WITradeschool.com right now.
Okay, yes. By the way, if you haven't started your membership at WI Trade School, I don't know what you're waiting for. We're in the middle of a very dynamic market with certain sectors really rising. Learn what they are, learn what stocks you should be trading and investing in right now, and your wealth will thank you for it in the future. Hey, in the studio with me today is Janelle Cox, psychotherapist. Hello there.
Hi, Tyrone.
And we're going to get deep today.
Yes, we are.
We're going to go really deep.
Deep into the mind.
Yes. Now, Janelle, just so you know, I was a psychology major in college, and I treasure that experience. And at one point, I had a job actually training therapists through psychodrama. I would learn a case study, and then I would go in the room as this particular case study. Oh, yeah.
That is so exciting.
It was really great. It's back also during my acting days, right?
That is so cool.
And I got paid $100 an hour to train therapists. And then I'd be in school learning about Carl Jung and all of the other modern day theorists, so on and so forth. So I'm thrilled that you're here.
Oh, it's so nice to be here. Thank you.
So I think the best way, we talked about this before we started recording, I think the best way to do this is I'm going to compare some notes with you. Mm-hmm. And everybody initially thinks of me as that guy who can help them pick great stocks. But what I always say, particularly in my live program, is there are a lot of choices that go into and a lot of emotions that go into clicking that mouse to buy 200, 300, 400 shares, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what I have discovered in my wealth, and we're going to go to the psychodynamics of wealth building and money, is that most people are not taught to think about residual income. Right? Mm-hmm. So they wind up trading time for dollars. Now, in that process, people have feelings about stock market trading. Because when I say, hey, well, you could easily make, depending upon the size of your account, $500 to $5,000 per week following this trading methodology. So the first time they come to class or they go to trade school and they place their first trade, the first thing they're aware of after they make the money is how they feel.
Right.
Because people carry a lot of emotions around money, and people carry a lot of emotions around financial success and financial failure.
That's right.
Now, what I love about your practice is you've come up with this way of articulating part of what people feel, which you refer to as kind of like a deep woundedness, right?
Right. Where do those feelings that you're talking about, where do they come from? They come from our childhood, they come from our wounds, and they come from our belief systems. So, yeah, we do have I don't think there's a single person on earth that isn't carrying around some kind of woundedness from their past. And so, when you talk about that, the first thing that comes to mind is the obvious wound, the deprivation wound, right? That feeling that we don't have enough, that there's not enough in the world. There's not enough for me. There's not enough here. That can take the shape of a lot of things, and it's from an early attachment rupture between probably the child and the primary caretaker, but nothing gets to get in, nothing lands. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. It turns sour, we say. And so that wound then goes on to manifest in different areas of our lives, money being one of them.
Great. So let's just try to get maximum clarification for the audience. Sometimes we have feelings about either what we were taught or what we were exposed to when it comes to money. I see this because I deal with a lot of people whose great-grandparents were in the Depression.
Right.
So they take those beliefs. Now, that's an extraordinary experience for those people who lived through the Depression, and they have a fear that it will reoccur again. Mm-hmm. And they pass that fear along to their kids, who then pass that fear along to their kids. And this inherited belief system or woundedness keeps getting passed down from generation to generation. Mm-hmm. Therefore, when a guy like me shows up, they go, this can't be real. So what you're saying is those emotions and beliefs are often tied together. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, we internalize them. We start, when they become a part of our personality when we start to internalize them as us. Well,
okay.
Now they're a part of my identity. This belief, this thought, this feeling that I was around as a child is now internalized as a part of me. It's no longer on the external in the environment from which I was where I came from. It's now a part of me. It's who I am, right, in quotes.
Right.
This is now my identity. This is how I live. And so we form an identity around it, our ego, our personality, who we think we are, which is, based on a lot of limited beliefs, low self-esteem, low self-worth. I'm not worthy of having this much abundance. I couldn't possibly be worth all of this goodness. Actually, in my practice, I call it goodness because money provides resources, comfort, happiness, travel. We can, what's the word I'm looking for? We can give to our charities.
Yes, relief.
Relief,
Right.
help. That feels good. That feels good to be able to be generous to people in need. It isn't a bad thing. Right. So.
Right. And I am not a psychotherapist like you are, but I can identify in people certain issues. So here's what I have found. When you have limited beliefs about money, right, you tend to choose other people around you who share those beliefs so that that forms your reality.
That's right.
So now you can say
agreements with your people around you, right?
Correct. So now you have your 5 closest friends, and you go,
Absolutely.
See, they think like me. This is the way the world is.
Absolutely, and you're always stuck, not going to good places and negotiating the bill and being stingy, and it's just absolutely. We have all of these agreements.
Now you've seen people who have deprivation issues live very small lives. And you were telling me before the show, very often, and this is just the people that you see in your practice, they wind up single, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I got to do this on my own. I couldn't possibly get help from another person. I couldn't possibly relax in the relief of another person's generosity. I got to do this on my own. I'm a hustler, right? All of these beliefs about hustling and having it be full of effort. I've got to trudge through. I have to have multiple jobs. I've got to drive. I've got to wear myself down to the ground. Those are all a part of the deprivation wound. It doesn't get to be relaxing, easy. Right? It doesn't get in, it doesn't get to stay in, and it doesn't get to feel good.
Yes. And life doesn't get to feel good because you're carrying around these belief systems about money.
Right.
Right. Now, what is the link? And this, I'm going to kind of reach here just a little bit. In your view, what is the link between that belief system and, let's say, depression? clinical depression? Because I've learned also that a lot of people, and even some of my students I see them struggle with depression. So therefore, no matter how much money they earn, they're never really happy. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you? Have you seen a link like that at all?
Yeah, depression is a condition that forms when we are when we are using our whole life force to shove our feelings down, because life when we were young was too overwhelming. We weren't able to express ourselves. We weren't able to free our life force up to be in our truth, to express anger, or there was some kind of immense loss that we couldn't rectify, we couldn't grieve. And I'm not talking about someone dying. I'm saying like the death of an idealized parent, the death of your childhood going a certain way, or something working out, or something changing before you were ready for it to change. Any kind of change or loss is now internalized. There's grief compounded. Their feelings have nowhere to go, and then that becomes a condition. We just stay stuck in this condition of shutdown, I call it.
Okay, and so you do see some correlation between mild depression, clinical depression, and people's finances.
Sure, yeah. I mean, people who struggle with depression can't even get up and take a shower sometimes.
So obviously that's going to affect them.
They can't even get up and do their laundry. I mean, this we're talking about life force energy. We're talking about freeing up our life force. Money is life force. Money is energy. Money is another expression of our flow. So if our internal feelings aren't flowing, if our energy is not flowing, if it's stuck, how is it possible to then free up our energy around money?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story, okay?
Okay.
So I'm at a party, and this must have been, I guess, almost like a year ago. And it's a friend's birthday party. And the friend, you go to a party and someone goes, Janelle, this is such and such, and she's a therapist, and you should get to know this person. So this person my friend introduced me. She goes, oh, you should meet blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the woman's name. And I said, okay.
That's
and she, huh?
That's probably good because we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to say it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say her name if I knew her. And you'll see why in just a minute. So my friend Annie goes, you have to meet blah, 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 because her husband trades. Right.
Okay.
So the woman comes over. She's a very nice woman. And she says, what do you do? And I say, well, I teach people how to trade and invest in the stock market. And I consider myself to be a little bit more of a wealth coach. She goes, oh, my husband trades. And last week he made $500,000.
Okay.
And then he wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the week. She goes, it's that depression that he has. So here's a guy who's making $500,000. I mean, the people at the party were pretty successful, but he's still suffering with depression.
Okay.
So the wife is feeling like, I don't care how much money comes through the door.
Right.
The weight of my husband's depression is like, it's crushing.
So what's it all for?
Yes, exactly.
What's it all for? So that tells me his money realm is somehow open.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, this is working and he knows how to do this, but it doesn't know how to get in. It doesn't know how to feel good. It doesn't know how he doesn't know how to live in the joy of it and the appreciation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's now stuck in depression, or he's just there's life, there's grief and loss and anger that's suppressed and rage that's suppressed that is not allowing him to then appreciate this. And I wonder what will become of him. I wonder if he can be able to retain all that money, keep it, and let it keep it flowing. I wonder what the real truth is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, because I mean, I've never met him, but I
Right.
believe he's trying to do the best for his family, but he has, chemical issues that are weighty on him.
So at what expense?
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
yes, because the family dynamic gets
So at what expense is this money costing his happiness?
correct.
So
And it's clearly weighing on the family.
Right.
And And that's just the reality. Now, she didn't come see me as a patient. We were at a party. I just want to make that clear. Now, here's another notion that I want to challenge, and I really want your perspective on this. So I'm doing a talk show not too long ago, and we shut down. My interview's over, and the host says to me confidentially, "I'm really working on feeling that I deserve more wealth." Right?
Right.
And here's the funny part of it to me. I know plenty of wealthy people who are not the nicest people, and they don't feel like they deserve more money. They just feel like this is the way I was taught to manifest this wealth.
Okay.
So they're manifesting hundreds of thousands of dollars, not necessarily because they feel like they deserve it. They have just mastered the process of making $100,000 a month.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that all wealth is based on how you feel about it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's just that some people have mastered the mechanism of achieving it.
Right.
It's just a habit. It's just a habit to them, right?
How is this being interpreted and internalized in their life and used in their lives is what you're saying.
Well, I think that I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's this narrative going around these days that if you feel like you deserve it, you'll have more of it. I know people who don't really care about it, but they have a lot of it.
I don't know if I agree with you because I think that we hold unconscious beliefs that we don't even know about.
Okay.
So that it's possible that they kind of that unconsciously there is something that's freed up about it, but they might not be conscious of it, and then they might not have other areas of their lives that have been integrated. How are they? How do they know about their life purpose? How do they know about their soul's purpose? How are they utilizing their consciousness? How open is their heart? How are they practicing mindfulness in their everyday life? How is their sex life? How is their physical life? What are the other realms of their lives? What do they look like? So if it's just an isolated thing, maybe unconsciously they do have that freed up. And you know what?
Right.
Good for them.
Right.
Great.
Right.
But to me, that's not interesting. What's interesting is how to live in balance and know about integrating all parts of us, because this guy that's depressed, and you said he has chemical.
Well, I would imagine. I mean, I didn't diagnose him. I didn't meet
with
him.
Depression. I thought you meant like an addiction to substances. I don't know why. He may,
because you're a therapist.
He may have that.
Right.
Maybe I was like feeling into him. But who knows? But to me, it's like, what's the point if we don't know how to integrate it into service?
I agree. And I think that's why some people can make a lot of money and be like a mean person. Right?
Like, what is it serving?
Yes, but I think the point that I'm trying to make is that you can master the skill of making a lot of money and not be a kind and loving person.
Right, because you're not conscious of it.
Correct. And you just mastered the skill.
Yeah, big deal.
Right. It does. It's not because you felt like you deserved it. In other words, and just kind of follow me here because I'm still trying to develop what it is I'm trying to say. Like, we're in a recording studio right now, right? I know how to get home from here. And I know the fastest way to get home. And I've mastered, the way to, get my car and drive home, right? But that's just a skill. It doesn't mean I know how to drive home and be a kind person when I get home and to be considerate with other people.
Right.
And because I've mastered the skill on how to drive home, it's not because I feel that I deserve to know the route that gets me home the fastest. I think money is just a skill. And when you learn how to master it, the other part of the work really comes from what kind of quality person you're going to be, because all you're going to do is use that money to play out who you really are.
That's right. Yeah, it's a skill. But where we started in the beginning of the podcast is, what I would say. You said it in another way, but I'll reframe it in what I think it is making the unconscious conscious. We're talking about knowing about our inner self, our inner world, which sometimes linked to old wounds. and raising them up to the surface so that we can sift through them and know about them. I'm a therapist. This is what I do for a living. This is what fascinates me the most out of anything in the whole world. So being of service to another human being to help them know the truth of who they are. So that is about raising the unconscious and making it more conscious, not eliminating it, but integrating it into them and using it as like eating it, like digesting it as wisdom.
Correct. And what I refer to it as is raising your consciousness so that you're making choices. You're making conscious financial choices. You're not just giving your money away to a mutual fund. You're not just blowing it on some experience.
That's right.
You're taking some of the money that you have and you're putting it in a place where it can multiply so you can have security in the future.
Right, because money it serves us while we're here on earth in the physical plane. I'm going to get really woo-woo.
I can go there.
Okay.
I can go there.
It serves us here in the physical plane.
Yes.
And then when we die, we don't need it anymore.
Well, I always say in my live programs, it's nice to know if I do need it on the other side, I could sell some covered calls and collect some dividends. It's just an insurance policy, just in case they go, Tyrone, you're on the other dimension. Do you have any money? I'm like, hang on, I'll click and make some money.
I bet when you are, saying goodbye to your body and this earthly plane, you're not going to be like, oh my God, get my money. Where's my money? Get my sacks of money. Put my sacks of money in my coffin.
Right.
You're not going to worry about that. You're not going to care. You're going to be thinking and knowing about who you were as a person and how you loved. Period. End of story. And how you were of service and how you got to connect to other people, period. And I don't care what anyone says, that is true.
Yes. And listen, you're not going to get any negative argument out of me.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it serves us on this physical plane.
Yes, it does.
But we have to understand how to integrate it into our lives. I think, me personally, Janelle, just personally speaking, as service.
And I agree. And that's what I love about my program. It really is of service to other people who have a raised consciousness.
If we hoard money for selfish reasons, I don't know. Good luck.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I can't speak for those people. I don't know how happy or awake they're going to be. But to me personally, like, it's more meaningful when I can give back and help other people progress in their lives. That makes me happy. And I love money, too. So it's all a part of the same conversation, but we can have both.
Sabotage. I see this a lot.
Okay.
I see people put money in a brokerage account. I recommend stocks, and they will go do the exact opposite of what I recommend because unconsciously, you ready? They don't want me to be right about,
that's right.
about how easy it is to be financially successful.
That's right. And this kind of makes me think of another wound, which is the frustration wound. People who grow up frustrated, not knowing that their will is impactful, not knowing that they have agency. They never had the yes when they were young. Like, you're supposed to have a healthy dose of, oh, good job, you did it. Oh, yes, here you go, you can have this. Not too much, but also not too little. We need to know that we're effective. We know that we need to know that we can impact things, that our desire and our will has impact, that we can have the yeses in life. But some people only know about their no, and they continue to create situations where they get frustrated, where it doesn't happen. They come up against the wall and they hit the wall, and there's the no again. There's the no, and it comes through fighting or not getting what you want, through sabotage, through just defeat. It's like, there's the defeat again.
Well, but what is driving them is the need to be right. That's right. Defeat.
Because they win by losing.
Correct. And I see that all the time.
That's right.
I'm like, I never said buy that stock that dropped from $19 to $12. And then they give me the reasoning, and I know where it's coming from. They give me the reasoning. Well, I want to catch it at 12, so when it goes back up, I got my shares cheaper. Well, why not just buy the stock that's going up? Mm-hmm. And what that person, and I can usually tell through, extended contact with them, they don't want this stock market thing to work. So they make choices so that they can frustrate themselves, so they can say, see, Tyrone, you're wrong.
Right.
And then there are thousands of other people going, no, it does work. I make about $15,000 a month doing this.
Because they know about the no, they feel it all the time. Their psyche is familiar with it, but they don't understand that they're doing it. This is one of those things that are unconscious that through therapy gets to be revealed, Tyrone.
It sure does. Because the students who I have who sometimes make the most money are doing inner work with a therapist like you. So they become aware of how they financially shortchange themselves and sabotage their lives.
That's right.
Okay.
This is important.
Now, do you have clients who have made breakthroughs around money?
Yes, I would say so, because this process of knowing about their true self is extremely impactful and empowering. One thing that comes to mind with all of this is the process of living your truth and knowing about your truth. I have this model that I work with. It's the parent, child, adult, and it's like a triangle, right? So you picture that you have the parent on one side of the bottom of the triangle, and your inner parent voice is all the messages and stuff that you've got from your parents, from your past. You've got your inner child over here on the other side, and that's your inner child. That's your needs and your messiness and all your wants and your playfulness, and we always have that inner child inside of us. And at the top of the pyramid is our adult. Where we rise to in our life is that adult part. We integrate that adult part, which is not our parent voice, and it's not the little child acting out and having tantrums and having all the feelings. It's the truth that emerges from our life experience, from our personal growth, from learning things, from experience. Those are valuable life experience lessons that we no one can take away from us, that are very unique to us alone. So that adult part of us that emerges through time is what also gets to be known in therapy and through growth and inner work. It's like that voice that's not our parent voice. It's the true voice. It's our truth, and it's our soothing. It's okay. This is okay. You can do this. No, this is the truth. Here we're gonna do this. You're gonna be okay. I love you. You're lovable. All those good messages that we could have had when you were younger, but we didn't.
I'm so happy you said that. Those positive messages, because that also feeds the sense of I can do it.
Until you have somebody sitting in front of you mirroring that back, like a parent maybe did or didn't do or should have done, you're not going to know how to do it.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And you might feel that you're free, but emotionally you still have emotions driving you. And it's so funny you say that, because a lot of top hedge fund traders on Wall Street, if you're going to run, they call it on Wall Street running money, if you're going to run $100 million, they go to therapy.
Okay.
Because, as I like to say, partially comedically, they have some feelings about handling that kind of money.
That's right.
And anybody who's ever been to a Tony Robbins workshop, the whole first 8 rows are all hedge fund people.
And you better believe Tony has had some therapy.
Right, exactly. Because we all have concepts, ideas, and feelings that could limit us, whether we're handling $100 or $100 million.
That's right.
So for someone who wants to do a little work on themselves and raise their consciousness, obviously you would recommend some sort of therapeutic setting. Not for everyone, but it can be a good place for that.
Yeah.
What kind of therapist would you recommend for them?
Well, there's books, there's workshops. You can.
There are coaches also.
There's coaches. Yeah. You can go off and beat your chest in the forest. I mean, there's lots. Go do yoga once a week. Learn meditation. But it takes a village. I do acupuncture once a week. I go to my chiropractor and make sure my spine is adjusted. You know what I mean? It's like you have to adjust. You have to address all the realms of what what's going on. But the therapy, I do psychodynamic kind of psychoanalysis light kind of work, but depth. It's working in the unconscious, depth psychology. I incorporate the spiritual aspects because we are, I think, souls. So there's an aspect to this that is soulful.
Absolutely.
To me. So I make that very clear in the first conversation with my clients. And if you don't want to work that way, I'm probably not your therapist, and that's fine, So find a therapist that speaks to you and that vibes with you and resonates with you. There's a million of them. And, and go for it.
And it sounds like the most important message is do the work.
Absolutely.
Because wealth is a process, and the process is of growing as a human being.
That's right. It's one realm out of many.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. Will you come back?
Yes, absolutely. It was my pleasure, Tyrone.
Well, you're welcome. It's Janelle Cox, everybody. And I'll be back with some closing words right after you take a listen to this message.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
Welcome back to Trading Stocks Made Easy. Hey, listen, I had to leave you with some final thoughts. First of all, you gotta love Janelle Cox for her wisdom. And I realize therapy is not for everyone, and I'm not saying you have to go out and get a therapist. What I really want to do in this show is help raise your consciousness. I want you to realize that there may be some forces on you that are historical that get you to think small about money, wealth, and happiness. When you're able to recognize their influence and quote unquote, let them go, then you're able to change your life, right? Because I want to tell you that your life, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're hungry for something. You're hungry for wealth. You're probably hungry for financial independence. You're hungry for a bigger and a greater life. Now, here's what I can tell you. You can have all of that, not only for you, but you can then turn around and be of service to your family, to your community, and most importantly, to your children. Because you cannot pass on a wealth consciousness to your children if you do not have one yourself. That message is powerful. That's why I thank you for joining me each and every week to not only talk about the market and trading, but what goes on in our inner world clearly and obviously affects our outer world. Hey, this is Tyrone Jackson, and I really mean it. Trading stocks can be easy if you have the right consciousness. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.